Today's cryptocurrency price activity shows that XRP is down just 137% as of the time I'm writing this. However, I must admit that expert after analyst is adamant that the best is still to come when it comes to something as important as whether or not we're going to face melting season with XRP, and more generally alt season. I doubt that these analysts, who have such impressive track records and understand the significance of historic presence, will all be wrong this time. It's coming, of course. We're talking about likelihood here, not that I know that for sure. No one does, precisely. And I'm going to list a number of reasons why it makes sense to think that the most likely scenario is that we will have that alternate season. Indeed, XRP will at last melt faces in a nasty way. We've already arrived. Additionally, XRP has been shown amazing strength. Indeed, a genuinely historical signal is being highlighted by one analyst. It's flashing at the moment. The fact that the greatest is still to come is just so clear. However, I do want to be clear before continuing. I don't have any form of financial experience. I'm not a financial counselor. Furthermore, nothing I say should influence you to buy or sell something, right? I'm merely a hobbyist who likes to create YouTube videos about cryptocurrency-related subjects for enjoyment. I should also point out that the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500 also reached fresh all-time highs today. That is what you would like to see. More significantly, the Russell 2000 small-cap stocks have been rising lately, and they were somewhat higher today. The Russell 2000 is, I believe, 3% away from reaching a new all-time high. People, it's freaking prime. In a situation like this, you would desire and anticipate this. And here, people are afraid. I simply can't understand that. Perhaps it's simply because such individuals need to learn some historical background, which, when combined with growing hair, can make it appear a little less frightening. It's time to get thrilled. But to be honest, you won't become wealthy in cryptocurrency if you're not prepared to face whatever hell the market throws at you. You have to accept that you have no control over that. So if the market declines and your net worth falls precipitously for a while, you have no control over that either. However, you are in charge of determining if you are exposed when the wonderful things happen and you are aware that the cryptocurrency market is still rising. Therefore, Altcoin Gordon, a well-known analyst with 1,000 followers on X, might want to take a look at this post. This Bitcoin price chart spans more than 10 years. However, XRP is unquestionably relevant to the point he is making with this chart. You don't deserve the life-changing pump if you can't handle the dump, he wrote plainly. You get it. I certainly understand, though. Thus, have a look at a few of these percentage declines. Knowing that not everyone is staring at the computer, I'll read a couple of them. But take a look at this. Take a look at this. Examine this Bitcoin cycle from roughly 2015 to roughly 2017. We'll just use a general time period for this. Examine these significant declines for that cycle: 29% down, 40% solid by 33%, 27%, 40%, and 39%. But take a look at this enormous gain. Despite being at the bottom of the list, you are actually up 9,900, 200%. And it would have been just as horrific as what people are going through now if you couldn't endure those drops, which were frightening to everyone. Not just everyone, but the entire retail public who were present during those years. The distinction is that the percentage declines were more pronounced in the past. In fact, they were more intense. Therefore, you most definitely wouldn't have survived if you had been here in 2015, 2016, or 2017 if you couldn't manage this. I would have made a ton of money if I had been here, you could think. Perhaps you would have. But if you're among those who are currently afraid, you wouldn't have. Back then, you wouldn't have earned any money either, because times were uncertain and it would have been even more difficult. Next comes the following cycle, which we'll assume runs roughly from 2018 to 2021, but have a look at these pullbacks. -19 and 54 cents, 6%, 18, 22%, and 25% decreases are still rather striking. It's definitely quite dramatic. Furthermore, none of those events were the end of the world, but I can guarantee you that many people around the world believe that they were. Next comes the most recent run-up here, which has seen declines of 23 cent, 20 cent, 22%, 21%, 23%, 30 cent, and currently 12% during the past few years. These are not all the end of the world. Tell me about our experiences. As you can see, all of that volatility has historically been typical. However, this is the one where it's truly over. Leave this place immediately. I apologize, people. That is utterly absurd. Since there are many factors that are so perfectly linked, let's just emphasize why it makes sense to be hopeful in this situation. Additionally, charting analyst Mikey Bull Crypto has posted. This is a chart for Ethereum BTC. In his writing, he also mentioned the momentum indicator known as the MACD. Consequently, he wrote MACD. Just look down here. He's talking about this down here. Thus, ETHBTC is at the top and EHBTC is at the bottom. Here's what he's actually trying to say. At the bottom is the MACD indication. Claims that for the first time in 5 years, the MACD bullish cross recently flashed on ETHBTC. Historical signal for the alt season. He's correct too. Historically, the market does start running at the exact instant this flashes. You're living in the present when it occurs, but it doesn't imply literally now, literally tomorrow, or literally anything else. Take a look at this. This is the first green bar, as you can see if you look at it here. There you have it, the momentum flip. Additionally, it's a little baby green candle that is difficult to notice if you're looking at it on your phone, but it is there. It's roughly the same size as when it flipped in 2020. And in the end, that caused the ETH-BTC chart to rise up a huge amount. And you are aware of the implications for the ETH-USD chart as well, which is what matters most to us. Let's face it, it peaked at almost 4,900 per dollar. A few years back, we have now reached a new wall. Additionally, the momentum indicator flips. I understand that people will become afraid, but stop it. I mean, I have no idea what the best course of action is for you in terms of purchasing and selling. I'm merely stating that it doesn't make sense intellectually, not that you should buy it. It simply doesn't. Now is the moment.